Okay, so as I mentioned before, I believe they recommend that you put a baffle in every 30 inches. So we can go ahead and measure this. This is exactly 42 inches at the top, at the fullest part of the tank. And so it definitely would benefit from a baffle. And I'm thinking that the baffle needs to be a little bit further back than the center. Because that part of the tank up here will drain very quickly and end up being empty, whereas this part of the tank will be full much more of the time. So I'm thinking somewhere around in here for the baffle. So what I'm going to do is measure and cut the wood. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with 39 inches. So this is a piece of oakum, which is good boat building wood. It's oakum plywood. And I said 39, so 39 is right here. So the challenge is going to be the curve of the tank. As you guys have seen, that tank up there is curved like this, so it's flat and then it curves to the top. So this wood is going to have to be shaped to fit into that curve on both sides of the boat. So the 39-inch part will be the furthest part out. Then there will be a cut off the top here, a rounded off portion here, and a cut going straight down like this on both sides so that it'll fit in there. And I think what we're going to have to do in order to successfully transfer that over onto this wood is make up some sort of template. Alright, so this is what we'll use to make our little template here. And we'll go up into the V-berth and see how we're going to do this. I'm sure there's some fancy way of creating templates that I should know about and do not. But what I do is always just a little bit of trial and error. So, I know that we're going to have a curve at the top. So, I'm just going to cut a curve at the top. Wow. And that's really close. So now I'm going to draw kind of a line where I think that we might start going down the side of the tank. Alright, I can see that I need to cut this part off here. Off the top here. And just keep cutting away until it's snugged in there on all sides. Alright, this is is looking really good. There's one little spot that actually just needs a hair more. A little bit more curve there, so I just made a little note. But this is going to get us really close, and I don't expect it to be the same over here, but I'm just going to check. Wow, you know, that is like almost perfectly the same. That's really unbelievable. I mean, you saw me, I just laid this stuff up by hand. But this is the exact same curve. That is really, really unbelievable. Okay, so I guess we got lucky. This is gonna work for both sides. Wow, that's just cool. Okay, so now we'll take this template and we will scribe it onto our board out there. Okay, so now basically we're just tracing. I'm going to remember to add this little bit of wood here. And I imagine that it's going to be okay to just continue this line down. So I'm just going to create a straight edge, somewhere like right around in here. Just have that. Okay. Do the same thing over here. Okay, that's going to get us pretty close. So here you can see the curve of our tank, and should be able to cut this out. I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, that it will just kind of like wiggle in there and we can shove it in there. Since the tank is bigger at one end, we should be able to fit this down in the widest part and then snug it up in there. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get this cut out and see if it works. Alright, so I forgot the cameras today. So we're recording this on my cell phone, so hopefully the audio quality is not going to be too bad. The video should be okay. So anyhow, too bad about that. But let's see, for the past few hours I have been sanding down the inside of the tank. So as you know from the last episode, we are done fiberglassing all the sides and the bottom and these little lips of the tank. And you know, we just needed to sand it down and get it ready, A, for the baffle that we're going to be fiberglassing in, and B, for the epoxy potable water coating that we're going to be putting on the entire tank, on the entire inside of the tank. So yeah, this has been a little unpleasant. I used the angle grinder with a flap wheel disc for the majority of it, and this is very, 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 very dirty and dusty, and you know, it's just like stuff goes everywhere, and I had to be in one of those full body suits, and it's hot and sweaty and uncomfortable. But yeah, we got most of it done. I got a couple spots with the orbital, but the orbital is just a little bit slow. It does do a great job, it's just slow. So anyhow, now I've gone in here and I have taken some Xylol and cleaned it up. It's not perfect. I think I need to do some more washing with the Xylol, but you know, it's pretty close. It's good enough to install the baffle for sure. It's like overboard for installing the baffle. So the next up is going to be cutting the wood and actually getting that in here. So it's going to be pretty difficult to do with my cell phone, but I'm going to give it a shot and try to help you guys be a part of this, because it is such an important step, and it's going to be a lot of fun to actually be working with wood again. Kind of over the fiberglassing. It's been a big project, but yeah. So let me give you a little tour of the tank. All right, so here we have the tank. It's all sanded down and cleaned up. I'll show you inside. A full 360 tour here. And that's what it looks like. So there you go. So while we've got this just handheld, what we're gonna do is take this piece of wood and cut out this shape. And this should be very similar to the shape of the tank, as you saw. And hopefully we'll be able to fit it in there. And then we'll just tab it in place, cover it with mini coats of epoxy, and we'll be ready to go. Alright, so hopefully my phone doesn't blow over. I have it balanced on a 5-gallon bucket right now. So hopefully this will work out. But I'm just going to cut this shape out, and then we'll be good to go. And there we go. So as I mentioned last time, or maybe even this time, I'm not exactly sure, but this is oakum plywood, and it looks like it's like 3/4 of an inch thick, somewhere around in there, and I guess it could be an inch thick, but anyhow, it is good solid boat building wood, and it will last forever as a baffle in the tank. So that's what we're doing, and now let's go see if it fits. All right, so it just literally fit right in there. There was no struggle. You can see how much wider this area down here is, and so I just slid it in right here and just slid it forward. So it's that easy. It does look like there's some mild sanding that I'll need to do to make it conform. Let me try to show you this. So, I mean, you can see, like, you know, there's just some irregularities that I'm going to need to deal with. And of course, we will be putting that neoprene tape in there. So it will fill some of those gaps, but I just want to make sure that it is as close to conforming as possible before we do that. And let me get back down in there, I'll show you. This is the gap where water will be able to come down. That is about, you know, like a fist. I don't know how well you can see that, but water will be able to travel through here. Let's get it from the other angle. There you go, that's nice. And when the water is higher than that level, it will kind of slap up against this. Instead of creating, you know, big waves and sloshing all over the place, it will actually just be able to slosh right in here and right in here. And that will be good for stability, but also for just not being so annoying. Like when you're maybe up here trying to sleep and there's water sloshing everywhere because you're in a swell or something like that. So yeah, this is the baffle. So now I'm going to sand down the edges just a little bit, and then we will get that neoprene tape and epoxy that onto the wood. We're also going to need to epoxy the edge of the wood, just to seal it. And then we'll be ready to fiberglass it in. Alright, so the baffle is all sanded down, and as you can see, fits in there really well. And now we are going to epoxy it to make sure that it is completely sealed from water intrusion. Alright, so we have a nice, big, thick layer of epoxy on our wood on both sides. And we'll just let that cure. And come down next week, sand it down, probably put another coat on there. I'm not really sure. It doesn't really need much. Well, the ends need 3 coats of epoxy. So I guess we will definitely put another coat on here. And then what we'll do is actually put that rubber neoprene gasket material around here. That will be epoxied in place. And we will actually install this baffle in the tank. So that's what we have to look forward to. I'll see you next time.